What is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. So I want to go over the Philadelphia Eagles, some updates on certain players. You know, there's always some things to talk about with certain players that maybe you wish that would surprise you, but they are not. And obviously some moves not being made and other updates throughout camp that are pretty interesting right now. So I want to go over those right now. First, I want to go over Jalen Reagor because going into this camp, we didn't know what to expect. The Eagles were shopping Jalen Reagor. Maybe a trade would go down. But from what I've seen so far, I'm not going to lie, guys. When we take last year's training camp, scrimmages and all that stuff, Reagor was doing pretty good. These one-handed catches and all these, we kind of got tricked a little bit last year on what he was doing, and obviously it didn't transcend into the NFL. John Clark put out some news a couple days ago that Reagor was, getting bullied by, defensive backs or whatever the hell he said. Reagor kind of, said something back and then deleted the tweet. As long as Reagor is using that as motivation, it's totally fine. But obviously, like from past experience, there was people in the comment section that got really pissed off at me because they're like, oh, maybe that's just his way to, that's just who he is. He shouldn't do that. Or there's people out there that think, why doesn't this guy speak up? Let him speak up if he wants to. I totally understand that. As long as he takes that and makes it into motivation, turn it into a positive, not a negative, because all I look at when he fights back at a beat reporter or something, I feel like it's going to affect him. And that hasn't happened, guys. Reagor, even after that, from yesterday's practice, he had a 35-yarder. He had a 70-plus yarder on double coverage. I mean, he was fantastic. Zach Pascal's been out with food poisoning, and I have to say, Reagor has had a really solid camp. I mean, look, guys, they're not just going to cut Reagor because of last year or how good of a training camp he had last year. We're not hearing much about Greg Ward doing well at training camp, okay? Like I said, Zach Pascal's been out, so, Reagor's been taking, the first-team reps, and I totally understand that he was facing, I think, the second-team defense yesterday, but he's been playing really good and really solid, and I don't know what to expect. So there's three different things that the Eagles could do, okay? And there's one that I might think that is going to happen. One, they could flat out release him. Just release him. It is what it is. Take the dead cap of 2.3, 2.7, 2.6, whatever the dead cap is for him, and just be on our way, okay? The next thing is to trade him. Kind of build up his value in training camp. Kind of the same thing what they did with Zach Ertz, but Zach Ertz played some games before he got traded. But in this instance, he wouldn't really hit the field. He'd get traded before the season started to see where he is. Maybe a scout from another team comes to the practice, kind of looking at Reagor, seeing how he's looking and what's the case and all of that. So that could be a total possibility. They were shopping Reagor. There was interest from a couple teams. I don't know. They're not listing all the teams, but he definitely had some interest. And I figured the Eagles are squeezing teams too much for a higher draft pick, which I really wouldn't try to finagle a team and try to get them to give us a high draft pick, a third or a fourth rounder, So a trade, definitely could be in the works. The third option I have right now is something that's very realistic that I think could happen. Keep Reagor as the number 4 receiver, okay? Greg Ward definitely gets cut off this team because I think theoretically, I think they keep like 6 receivers, most likely, okay? Reagor makes the team, is the 4th receiver when Pascal obviously is coming back, so it does make sense, and use Reagor as a situational wide receiver, use him for the jet sweeps or the end arounds, screen passes, use him for things like that, kind of use him like that Tavon Austin type player if that's what they want to do with him. That's what I feel might actually happen to him because he's playing. I know it's very early in training camp because he could fall off. He could fall off when Miami comes to town and we face them in the scrimmages, and who knows what's going to happen, and see if he's actually going to get reps in preseason, which I think will happen. But this is really interesting. Like, I don't think a release is going to happen. I think a trade, or I think he might actually make this roster and be the number 4 receiver. I know it sounds crazy, okay, because I don't think he's going to play special teams. Who knows, okay? I don't know. He was the first man started on the punt returns already. He's already started the punt returns, okay? So there might be a chance here. So maybe there's more that they're seeing to Reagor. Maybe Reagor has learned the past couple seasons. maybe he's taking that negative energy and turning it into a positive on the field, which I hope he does, guys. Like, as much as we talk crap about Reagor and we laugh about it, and, we always talk about how mad we're going to get when he makes this roster, I support these guys regardless. So if he makes the roster, I support him. If he's on the field, I support him. He makes a mistake, I'm going to crucify him. That's just the way it goes with everybody, because they have to play at a high standard. This year is no joke, okay? Can't waste reps with a wide receiver that's not going to produce in the NFL season, and Jalen Hurts is pretty much his life is on the line this year to get a bigger contract and to be the Philadelphia Eagles franchise quarterback for years to come, and obviously those 2 first-rounders and that second-rounder. So I think that third option of him being the number 4 receiver, I think that could actually happen, and maybe it could work out. I don't know, but definitely want to see this in the near future. So that is the choices with Jalen Reagor, and that's how good he's been playing this training camp. It's been really good. Secondly, okay, Reid Sinett, okay, he's our other quarterback. He's our 4th quarterback right now. Okay, Sinett is an interesting one because he's actually playing better than Carson Strong. And Minshew is really not, he hasn't really been playing well. I think the second day of training camp, he played really, I think the first day or the second day when he threw those 2 touchdowns to Reagor. And he's been throwing picks here and there, and he hasn't really been playing well. Sinett has been playing pretty good in this camp. A little bit better than Minshew. Minshew, yeah, not good at all. Surprisingly, you would think so. He had like one good day I was raving about, and really other than that, the missing targets, obviously the defense is playing well. The defense has been playing good since after the first day when they were getting pushed around by that offense. So it didn't take long, but Sinett is making a big surprise. So I don't know what's going to happen here. Carson Strong, I haven't heard anything. I heard Carson Strong hasn't been looking good at all. So who knows what's going to happen. If you guys remember with Reid Sinett, when he was on the Giants, I think a couple years ago, I remember watching the preseason games because I live in New York, so the Giants preseason games come on for me or whatever. So I actually watched a few of his games and watched some highlights later on. Sinett actually played lights out in preseason for the Giants a couple years ago, like played really well. So maybe these coaches are, maybe he is playing better. I'm not saying, maybe Minshew becomes the backup quarterback or maybe gets traded, but you never know what could happen because quarterbacks could go down anytime. Carson Strong might be the odd man out, and Sinett might be on this roster. Who knows at this point? So the Reid Sinett thing is definitely something we have to watch out for, and the progression of Minshew to see if he's, playing, because he's not really playing too good. I mean, his training camp hasn't. He's had almost probably one good day, and that's really it. So definitely something else to look for. The last thing I want to talk about is obviously Devon Allen. Okay, Devon Allen, Olympics, has been in these championships for the hurdles, got disqualified, coming in the camp with a chip on the shoulder for being disqualified. So far right now, he's been dropping a lot of passes. It hasn't been good for Devon Allen. I say Devon all the time. I don't know why. It's Devon Allen. Got to remind myself. He has been in contention for the kick return spot. Okay, he's one of the 4 players, I think, between Jason Huntley, Allen, Hightower, and Britton Covey right now, which should be an interesting one. But his catching, I don't know how his routes are, I heard his route running is not crisp. His catching is a huge problem right now. So I mean, all we're really looking for with Devon Allen is his special teams. That's it. I mean, if that's the case, if he's got a problem with catching the football, then I don't know. Maybe he's not going to be good for special teams if he can't catch the ball. But to be a return man is different from getting consistent catches from your quarterback, and I totally understand that. So who knows what's going to happen? I want to see if someone else is rising to the occasion, like Britton Covey from Utah that has been a special teams machine. Maybe he is better. Have no idea. But definitely there's a problem with Devon Allen and his catching, his route running, and he's dropped some passes, so he hasn't looked good whatsoever. So not only does this count for the wide receiver room, but, who makes the roster for the wide receivers, but it counts towards our special teams, which is going to be another big thing because I had Devon Allen at least, competing for that big kick return spot. Because really at the end of the day, I'm not seeing Devon Allen in this offense. I'm not trying to see him in the offense. All I'm trying to do is we need to get our special teams. Our third part of the game has to get better. We haven't had good special teams since 2015. So he is a very, in my opinion, could be a very valuable piece. But Maybe not as a wide receiver, maybe just special teams. But we'll see as the scrimmages and obviously preseason, these guys will get some work like Covey and Allen, Huntley and, Hightower. We'll see what happens with some of these guys, but very interesting. Other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. I think there's going to be more to talk about in the future. Obviously, when Miami comes into town, we have these scrimmages, which are going to be very important because facing your own team and your own team is, you can only get by so much by doing that because you know the strengths and weaknesses of a lot of these players since they know each other so well. So I think once Miami comes into town, we face them, for a week, and then we go into this preseason games, and then we can really see what these guys are all about. Reagor is definitely the number one thing on my mind right now of what they're doing, because it definitely affects the wide receiver room because someone else can get cut that maybe we really like. Hightower cannot be here. I mean, Greg Ward might not even be here if Reagor is showing up like this every single day. Okay, so I totally get it. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do. And this is the observation period where, we get to see who makes the team. We get to see, the production. It's really up to these coaches. Some of the players, there might be somebody that you really want to make this team and just didn't have a strong camp. Can't go on ceiling. You have to go on what they're doing right now and how they're producing right now. Can't go on what he could be. I totally get it. Definitely get it when it comes to training camp and all that good stuff. So, other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you guys have not. We'll go over Eagles training camp every single day, the preseason games, everything. We're going to be all ready for that. So I'll see you guys in the next one. SHAKESQUAD up, follow us live. Peace out, guys. Peace.